that it's going to be a meal. And there's a chance that it's going to be protein. So it's survival related for me to be curious and figure out what that is. So practicing curiosity is an excellent habit to establish. I can get into some of the research also behind it, but curious minds show increased activity in other areas like the hippocampus, which is in it's the area that's involved in creating memories. So a lot of addicts and alcoholics will say, I don't remember much. And that's disheartening, right? We don't want to not have memories, right? I mean, we want good memories. So curiosity also not only fires up the amygdala, it fires up the hippocampus, which is involved in creating new memories. And if you're going to be in recovery, you want to create new memories as well. And when you're curious, and let's say I wanted to look, suddenly I got curious in history, and I wanted to know what the Marshall Plan was. And I'm just pulling it off the top of my head. And I got on my computer, and for an hour and a half, I researched what the Marshall Plan was. And I felt I understood it. I would get a reward. I would get a burst of dopamine in the brain. So it also starts getting all the areas of your brain. It really works to getting all the areas of your brain fired up again. So it's a very important habit to start practicing. Whether you're in recovery or just regular life, you want to improve your life as well. So, do you have any questions regarding that one before I move on to curiosity or to laughter?
No, go ahead.
All right, so we all know laughter is good for us, right? But we kind of practicing the habit of laughter. Let me tell a story with this. During my clinical counseling, I had to get up at 2:30 a.m. and be ready by 3:10, I think. So I had about 40 minutes to get ready. Get on the road for an hour travel to work. And I had every right to be miserable by the time I got to work. But I couldn't do that. So I used my habits of intent, meaning, and value to create a routine for the morning so that I could laugh. Okay, one thing I did was I put on a lot of podcasts that were comedians. And first thing in the morning, like one guy, he had a Monday morning podcast and a Thursday afternoon podcast. And by the time I had found him, he had 250 podcasts that I was allowed to catch up on and watch, right? Or listen to.
Okay.
So every morning I would start out maybe with him, and I would start out laughing. Laughing does a lot of stuff, from, the smiling on our face.
It's less. It takes less muscles to smile.
Right. Right. But those muscles are connected to the reward center. Those muscles that are specifically making you smile are connected to the reward center. And then imagine, a bellowing laugh on top of that, right? I mean, you're getting tons of reward with what? Who doesn't feel good? My favorite of all time was Eddie Murphy Raw. I could watch that over and over and over and just roll around crying laughing. And you just felt so good, after I was just at Cherokee Casino. I took a girl to go see Chris Rock not too long ago. And oh my gosh, it was the best time I've had in a long time, just because it was constant laughing.
Yeah. Laughter is good for the soul, good for the heart.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
You can't take yourself too seriously in this life. Life is hard by itself. So
right.
You gotta find yourself funny. You just
right.
It's like paying yourself back some levels of like joy by just laughing at certain stuff. When you trip, be the first one to laugh. Like seriously, be the first one to laugh. Like be the first one to laugh. If you accidentally pick up something, I've done like something weird. Like I was supposed to put toothpaste on a toothbrush, and I put it because my mind was somewhere else, and I just had to laugh at myself because life is getting so serious that your mind is boggled with so many things that you forget what you're presently doing, and you have to laugh. You have to laugh. So how
you
would
said
you
it?
brush
You
your
said
teeth?
it. You said it with presently. What you're presently doing when you're laughing. Above anything else, when you're laughing, you are in the moment, right?
Right.
You are laughing at something that happened right then and there, whether it's an old show that you're watching, but you are in the moment. More than any other time, you are mindful of what's going on in the moment. So laughter makes you more present.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
And it brings a sense of lightness. You know, we walk around with this heavy-hearted stuff, with this heavy stuff on our heart, with a heavy heart all the time, especially in early recovery, because we're dealing a lot with the train wreck, right? The shame and the guilt and God forbid any trauma that might have led to the addiction, like, you know, sexual abuse or emotional abuse, whatever could have happened as a childhood that led to you to start using drugs and alcohol as a coping strategy. So you're always walking around with a heavy heart, especially in that first year of recovery. And if you're doing the work, like every time I had to go do some work and tell my story or something like that, I was exhausted. I just wanted to go home and take a nap because I was just so heavy-hearted. But laughter brings about some kind of lightness, right? We can arise. You can do all these things with a light spirit, you know. It's kind of a cost when you don't give yourself to the opportunity to experience the pleasure and fun or frivolity and laughter. Sometimes there's actually something called laughter meditation. Okay? So if you can imagine yourself sitting there silent and meditating, and maybe with your breathing moving a ball in your mind's eye, you're moving a ball across from one basketball goal to the other basketball goal as you breathe in and out, but then you create something funny that happens so that you chuckle and laugh, you know, by yourself. It's laughter meditation.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right. And laughter also helps you connect with other people. I mean, two people that share a laugh, they're like bonded right away.
Yeah.
And if you think of my recipe that I try to tell people, which is seek achievement, reward, pleasure, and fellowship daily. Fellowshipping is laughing. You know, you have the best. Now, there's merit in serious conversation, but I like to sit down with people and laugh. You know, talk about.
Go ahead.
The other thing that it does is it releases stress. Again, it goes to that heavy heart when you're walking around and you're upset about things. How many times have you been upset about something, and somebody just continues to try to make you laugh, and then suddenly you start cracking a smile, and so they keep going, and before you know it, you know, you're laughing and everything's good again, you know. It's just a great stress reducer. And I'll wrap this one up because there's so many qualities to laughing. But I've been watching movies before, and I've been so heavy-hearted that a good, funny joke during a movie would provoke a crying response from me. I'd like giggle and be like, oh, that was cute, and tears would start rolling down my eyes because, well, I call it allergies or something got my eyes. It's just, our hearts are so heavy, and it just felt so good to laugh, and so it's also an emotional release. And so, with curiosity, practicing curiosity and practicing laughter, those are two that are really going to get you going on more of a positive attitude. But nothing caps it off quite like the last one, which is practicing gratitude. It's hard to do in this world, and it's especially hard when you're suffering a disease like alcoholism or drug addiction. It's intuitive, or it's very easy to think, what do I have to be grateful for? I've lost everything 5 times. I've been through 3 marriages, whatever it is. Why? I don't have anyone to love me because I pushed them all away. I don't have a job. My credit's ruined. It's very hard to be gracious and show gratitude. But when we're focused on all the negativity in the world, and there's like I said, there's plenty of it, and we do forget to be gracious for what we do have. If we have a meal that day and we're in early recovery, show gratitude, right? The problem is when we get in early recovery and we don't adapt the habit of gratitude, we start to dismiss our family and our friends, and even worse, we continue to dismiss ourselves, right? So gratitude will help you not dismiss yourself. When we're gracious for the person that's right. Okay, so I could say God. I'm sorry, I'm so used to clinical counseling where you can't say God. Yeah, but I can't. Yeah.
Like I tell all my listeners, it's not all inclusive. I don't push my belief system on anyone, but I freely let people speak according to their belief system. So in no shape or form can you denounce what you believe in.
Well, we're going to believe that we're going to remake ourselves. We're going to rebrand ourselves. We're going to rebuild ourselves. And if we're going to do that, we have to believe ahead of time that we have gifts. We have gifts that are unique to us that the world needs. And if we start showing gratitude towards your higher power, or God, in my case, for the gifts that I don't even know I have yet, right? But He's going to show me in time, and I'm going to help people. When He does show us those gifts, we're so gracious for them. We use them on ourselves first. We use those gifts on ourselves first, and we use compassion and our gifts to bring ourselves further out of that darkness and out from under the devil's lie, and we're gracious for every moment that we can use our gift to help someone else drive up and rise above their circumstances and their anomalies that they're facing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Everyone in recovery knows it's just a cycle, and it's repetitive, and it's so absolutely frustrating. So when we can break free of that lie and break free of that cycle, and we can show graciousness and compassion to ourselves, then we're only going to be able to further show graciousness and compassion to other people when the time is right. And we're accepting the gifts and the meals and the roof over our heads basically